they have a genuine cause. If a group of people don't feel carried along very well, they can ask that they want to have a referendum. They can say they want, So if you look at it from 1999 to date, they've not had a president, they've not had a vice president, so they've mismanaged their political strategy, So based on that, some of them will be feeling agitated. And of course, they went through a very painful civil war, and they lost in the civil war. They lost several people, so they feel like, are we really Nigerians? So I think in furtherance of that duty, what the government should do is they should engage these people, because before you fight with anyone, before you go to court, I'm a dispute resolution lawyer, we need to try and explore amicable resolution. Then when you try amicable resolution and you can't resolve the crisis, then we can now go to court. So
the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has dissociated itself from a purported declaration of the Biafra Republic by a Finland-based group. In a statement issued by IPOB's spokesman, Ima Powerful, the group described the declaration as a scam.
Yes, depending on when and where you are watching this video from. Updates I will alone to Abukosi Nada, na Southeast Biafra land. A group of IPOB people, raise the alarm. Na declaration in Finland few days ago. Now Basataoha. Or you have this news flash for I just scroll through the social media space where for these updates. And say can be a share with you people. Yes, when there is division among us. Yes, Onoman Onyan Dumas and the canon de Kuku and steady now say, only for Bonin with Iki may within your strength. Kabiafra Webia, give me beer. Or Brundo's on a main keeper in our their own. So I'm like to settle order and watch this video. Question and now, but the same question a lot of people now Jukwa. The division, the too heavy. So watch this video, drop your opinion in the comment section. If you can, the guy you may invite for this interview, we analyze here. If you was a declaration of Biafra, you could drop your opinion in the comment section. Open the Christian make question it to start the video. Come on, with you. Watch the video, guys. I will be right back.
The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has dissociated itself from a purported declaration of the Biafra Republic by a Finland-based group. In a statement issued by IPOB's spokesman, Ima Powerful, the group described the declaration as a scam. According to Powerful, the individuals involved in the declaration in Finland are among the sponsors of insecurity in Nigeria's southeast region. Their agenda, he said, is to destabilize the southeast, divide the people, cause panic, and divert the attention of Biafrans and those sympathetic to the Biafran struggle. Now, this comes as the supporters of the Finland-based self-acclaimed Biafran Prime Minister Simon Ekpa converged in Finland last Friday to declare the United States of Biafra.
Now, here in Nigeria, the IPOB emphasized that there is no room for another Biafran declaration, besides the one that its leader, the late Dimego Ojukwu, declared in 1967. The group called for a United Nations supervised referendum for Biafrans to restore the sovereignty of the declared Biafran independence. Joining us is legal practitioner and managing partner of Abdul Salam Abbas and Paul Farouk Abbas. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I think first of all, just get a broad picture of your thoughts when you see that the United States of Biafra has been declared. Is that the way it works? Can a nation just be declared like that, or is there other legal requirements for it to make some sense?
Thank you very much for your question. When I saw the news, it was a bit comical to me. In point of fact, I didn't watch the video until whilst preparing for this interview. And it's, of course, that's not the way nations are being declared. There are procedures to having a nation. And like a nation like Nigeria, the foundation of our country is our constitution. Yeah. And for you to recognize the president or a leader of the country, it must be backed up by the law. The Constitution of Nigeria establishes the office of the president. So the president traces his power to the constitution. The requirements for being a president is stated in the constitution. The geographical location constituting Nigeria is also stated. The procedures for adding states to the federation are stated there. The procedures for expanding the boundaries are stated there. Yeah. And the constitution also has a very fundamental provision in the sense that it states that power belongs to the people, sovereignty belongs to the people, and the government derives this sovereignty from the constitution. So before you can have a declaration of any nation, there must be sovereignty, there must be a group of people who have come together and who have all agreed that, okay, this is what we want to do, and it must be backed up by law. You can't just have, or maybe by war, or maybe after you fought when you have a civil war and we agree or you negotiate, But for a group of people to just sit down in their bedroom anywhere, we can as well sit down here and declare a Republic of Farouk Abbas, So it's not, it's a circus. That's not the procedure to go about it. But it's not unusual for people to have this sort of agitations, because for every action there must be a reason. I like to look at the psychology of action. I don't just like to criticize people for saying they are doing this and that they are a bunch of jokers or they are criminals. I don't act that way. We should ask ourselves, why are they doing this? Do they have a legitimate request? Okay, how do we address it? How do we come together and discuss with them? So those are the kind of approach I like to see. Yeah. But of course, what they've done is a comical action.
Is there any legal implication to that, especially for Nigerians who maybe will support these people? They're Nigerians who traveled to Finland to show their support for the United States of Biafra. Is there any legal implication of their actions?
Oh, certainly. Because, we have the Terrorism Prevention Act in Nigeria, and what they've done is a form of attempt to destabilize the country, is a form of harassment, intimidation of people who are Nigerians, or only because they listed out some states in their country, in the Biafra, and those states are Nigeria, so they might cause chaos. And the Terrorism Act says that if you take any action to damage a country, to intimidate a country, to destroy the country, it's to be regarded as an act of terrorism. And if you provide support for them, if you provide counsel for them, if you provide invitation for them, if you go for meetings, attend their meetings, or provide support in their meetings, is an offense that is punishable by life imprisonment, a minimum of 20 years imprisonment. So it's a criminal offense, because what they are doing is affecting the integrity, the sovereignty of Nigeria, and it can cause chaos in the country. Because now we can say, okay, who is my president? Is it the prime minister, the lady, whatever she calls herself, or President Bola Tinubu? We can start saying the police stops you on the road. I'm not going to stop. We are not wearing Biafra uniform. We are in Biafra Republic. So it's a very serious issue. It's not a laughing matter. So another fundamental provision in the law is that if you carry out, normally, if you commit a crime, they'll say within the jurisdiction where you committed the crime. But for terrorism, it's extra-territorial. If you commit it outside Nigeria, you can also be tried in Nigeria. So what they are doing, they are playing with jail time if they ever come back to Nigeria.
I mean, so there's people who would also argue that the Nigerian government has also mismanaged, the whole conversation concerning the IPOB and the whole Biafra conversation. The long incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu, the refusal to even have conversations, have any conversations with these people to understand what their, requests are, what their grievances are, and somewhat. So do you agree with that? In 2017 or 20, I'm not sure what year now, when the group was proscribed, it also came with criticism that this isn't the way to handle these issues. Do you agree with that the Nigerian government could have done this better?
Oh, yes, I agree that in the past it wasn't properly managed, because the truth is, as Nigerians, we have to be very sincere, we have to be very objective, regardless of our tribe, regardless of our political affiliations. They have a genuine cause. If a group of people don't feel carried along very well, they can ask that they want to have a referendum, they can say they want, So if you look at it, from 1999 to date, they've not had a president, they've not had a vice president, so they've mismanaged their political strategy, So based on that, some of them will be feeling agitated. And of course, they went through a very painful civil war, and they lost in the civil war, they lost several people, so they feel like, are we really Nigerians? So I think what the government ought to do, and which is what this government is currently doing, is that you need to carry them along, you need to try and integrate with them, and you need to discuss with them. And I think the president is doing a good job. I mean, he just appointed the wife of the proponent of Biafra, the number one proponent of Biafra, the late Odumegwu Ojukwu, as a minister. I believe that's a step in the right direction. The former chairman of ABGA is a senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's a step in the right direction. But what I believe the government should do is that, because the duty for national integration lies on the president, is a constitutional provision. So I think in furtherance of that duty, what the government should do is they should engage these people, because before you fight with anyone, before you go to court, I'm a dispute resolution lawyer, we need to try and explore amicable resolution. Then when you try amicable resolution and you can't resolve the crisis, then we can now go to court. So I think these people have...
Yeah, I agree. You know what? Appointing Bianca is not necessarily... to soothe the wounds of the people. I don't necessarily.
There has to be a rapprochement. You can't just people you have not been engaging with. You have to start from somewhere. Is number one. When during the Biafra struggle, she was the center of it with her husband. She knew all those people, they have access to her and all that. So she will be giving the government advice, because they have to reach out. And in reaching out, you have to look for mediator, you have to look for people who they trust, who they can listen to.
But I think the point I'm trying to make is that she, by herself, is a fantastic person.
Okay, I get you.
She was probably appointed because she had
personal merits. Of course. No. I agree with you. But they're always undertones to all these things as well.
Let's talk about Simon Ekpa. There are those who have been calling for his extradition, but part of the argument would be that there's probably no agreement between both countries that would enable that to happen, and his trial has been set for May 2025. Now, whilst you were speaking, you mentioned that what can happen is that a number of those Nigerians could face the potential of being tried if they return to Nigeria. So is this maybe a path? Do you think that maybe in the next few months the government can enter into conversations with the government of Finland about bringing Simon Ekpa back home to try? And what do you think that the implications of that will be?
Yes, I believe that the proper thing, the federal government is going to have discussions with them, because the mere fact that if the government of Finland arrested him, they didn't do it on their own volition. They must have been given information, complaints must have been made, because he's a citizen of Finland, he's a politician in Finland, he ran for elections in Finland, so they can't on their own arrest him. Yeah. So I believe that the mere fact that he was arrested is a good step in the right direction, and it shows that eventually he's coming back home. Even if we don't have treaties between Nigeria and Finland, there's diplomacy, we can have discussions, and because the purpose of that trial is to protect Nigerian sovereignty and to prevent breakdown of law and order. Every country has a duty to support each other when it comes to sharing intelligence to prevent breakdown of law and order. So I believe that regardless of the fact that his trial has been fixed for May next year, I believe that the proper thing to do is that he's going to be sent back to Nigeria, because the consequences of his actions have been felt in Nigeria, not in Finland. So the proper place to try him is in Nigeria.
Alleged consequences of his actions. He's not been found guilty of anything. But I mean, again, it brings me back to the way that we've managed the whole crisis. If the Nigerian government had been more sensitive, I believe, to the requests, to the pain that these persons were expressing, the reasons for their grievances over time, people would say that it maybe would have gotten this far. Look at the way that the Nnamdi Kanu's case has been handled as well. It's not in any way helping matters, don't you think?
Well, I don't agree with you, because in Nnamdi Kanu, when you're advocating for a cause, you must be willing to pay the price for that cause, and that's what makes you a leader. That's what makes you have credibility. He was released on bail, and he jumped his bail, and even after jumping his bail, he didn't just keep quiet. He kept on.
Yeah, but his argument is that the army attacked his home.
Yeah, then you go back to court. We're not in a banana republic. You go back to court. So, but I believe that there's going to be some discussions, because we need a political solution to this crisis. We can't resolve it either by law or by force or by military and all that. We are going to come back to the table. But before you come to the table, if you're not prepared for war, you can't negotiate. So the best way to go for a negotiation is to be actually prepared for war. So the government has to be very strong. They need to let them know that they are going to be able to deal with anybody who tries to repeat that sort of action. But eventually, I believe that the government will be taking certain steps to resolve the crisis. I saw a senator from Abia State also advocating for his release. I know Ohanes Ndigbo are advocating for his release. And I know the president is a listening president. He knows how to manage human resources and all that. So I believe that eventually he's going to look into it. And I don't think anybody can blame the federal government for what is happening so far. Look at our elections in 2023. The Southeast is the only place where no political party other than Labour Party had over 50,000 votes, except APC in Imo State. Every other party were having 9,000. It was a landslide victory. So it's a step in the right direction. That's the first time that is happening in Nigeria. So you can't just say you want power and you get it within 2 years or 3 years. So they've made their mark. Let them go back to the drawing board and expand their coast to other parts of the country. Yeah. So allowing them to vote and declaring their results with that kind of moonslide, if there's any such word, victory, is a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction. We are giving them the opportunity, and they didn't manage it very well. If Peter Obi had stayed with PDP and he had stayed with Atiku, perhaps we won't be saying what we're saying.
When you say giving them the opportunity,
yes,
it sounds like, it's a favor that is being done them. It is their right. If they want to, they are as much Nigerian as any other tribe, as any other ethnicity or political party. So I don't know. It does sound somehow when we say we are giving them an opportunity.
No, why I said that is, the narrative is that, everybody's against us. Everybody's against us. And we're saying, no, we are embracing, we're carrying everybody along. If you're saying everybody is not, we're against you, then it means that the rights some people are enjoying, you are not enjoying the rights. So what I mean is that there was an election, everybody was given the right to vote, and you exercise that right. Nobody stopped you. Assuming they stopped you from...
they were stopped from voting in Lagos.
Well, I'm not aware of that. I just saw a newspaper. You're not aware
of that. There was a very popular video of MC Oromo threatening people from Iyachikudi's
we saw those,
come out to vote.
We saw those videos.
There was violence that was meted against people who were coming out, who were their polling units, and it was targeted against the same ethnic.
Yeah, we saw those videos. Some people, yes, those are. MC Oromo is an agent of government. Some people go out of their way to make certain incendiary remarks. When they make those remarks, governments can go after them.
But the government didn't go after them.
And it's not just that the government go after them. There are people who are currently working on that, and this is not indicting anybody. I just want to lay out